When jumping from the books toward the movies, many parts get removed and sometimes even changed. In this video, I'm gonna show you 5 things about Dumbledore, Sirius, and Snape that the movie watchers will never know, so let's get into it. Starting first with Dumbledore. Number 1. Petunia's letter to Dumbledore. When Lily's Hogwarts letter arrived, Petunia was jealous to the point that she tried to contact the headmaster Albus Dumbledore. Harry later heard Lily mention this letter while witnessing Severus Snape memories in the Pensieve. According to Lily, the letter contained not only a request to be admitted to Hogwarts, but a beg to be a witch. Dumbledore kindly wrote a reply letter to Petunia rejecting the request. Number 2. Tom Riddle job application. After graduating from Hogwarts, Tom Riddle immediately approached the headmaster Dippet and asked him for a chance to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts and to remain at Hogwarts. Dippet rejected this offer, deeming the boy too young, but invited Riddle to reapply in a few years if he was still interested in the post. Tom disappeared for 10 years, befriending dark wizards, splitting his soul, creating Horcruxes and hiding them. Tom Riddle then returned and appealed once more to the headmaster of Hogwarts, now Albus Dumbledore, for the position. Dumbledore directly confronted Riddle, as he knew full well that Riddle had no desire whatsoever to teach. Riddle, unable to make an open request with Dumbledore, simply left after a final, gentle rejection from his former teacher. From that day on, Hogwarts was never able to keep a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher for more than a year. The visit to Hogwarts was not just for that, for Riddle used the opportunity to hide the diadem in the room of requirement, where he believed it would never be found. Dumbledore's funeral. A scene that should have been kept in the movie as well, but instead, all we got is Snape killing Dumbledore, the former lying in the ground surrounded by students, teachers, staff, and that was it. The news of Albus Dumbledore's death spread over the wizarding world. The scheduled day for Albus' funeral came. The ceremony was set up outside of the castle near the Black Lake. Hundreds of golden chairs had been set out in straight, even rows. There were many attendees of the funeral, a delegation of ministry officials including Cornelius Fudge, Rufus Grimjour, Dolores Umbridge, and Percy Weasley. Also Madame Maxime from the Beauxbaton Academy of Magic. The centaurs including Frenzy, the Mirror people from the Black Lake, most of the Hogwarts students, most of the Hogwarts staff, and members of the Weasley family. The death of his sister. When 𝐘𝐿 befriended Albus, the pair became inseparable, as they shared ideas for a new wizarding order and formed a shared obsession with Hallows. But Aberforth felt Albus' friendship with Grindelwald had left Ariana neglected. He challenged them both, and an argument turned into a fight with devastating consequences. Quite who caused the spell that killed Ariana was unclear. Although when Harry met Albus Dumbledore in 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐄 station, the old headmaster strongly hinted that it was Grindelwald who shot the mortal curse. It was at Ariana's funeral that the Hogwarts headmaster's nose was broken by his furious brother Aberforth. The siblings would later reconcile, but feelings of blame and their separate grief appear to have never been truly gone. Now moving to our second character, Sirius Black. Harry's first broom. Harry received a toy broomstick for his first birthday from his godfather Sirius Black. In a letter she wrote to Sirius, Harry's mother Lily stated that the gift had been Harry's favorite. Lily mentioned that Harry had broken a horrible vase that Petunia Dursley had given the Potter family. She added, "No complaints here." She also mentioned that Harry nearly killed their cat. Harry's father James was convinced that Harry would be a great Quidditch player. Sirius and 𝐒𝐿 relationship. The mysterious story begins when 𝐒𝐿 met Sirius in his animagus form. He immediately took a trusting of Sirius, marrying with him on the Hogwarts grounds several times. The friendship 𝐒𝐿 and Sirius had took a long time to develop. Eventually, 𝐒𝐿 found an ally in the escaped convict Sirius Black, finally having someone understand him. Throughout the year, 𝐒𝐿 actually contributed to the unmasking of Peter Pettigrew. 𝐒𝐿 would even try to sneak into the Gryffindor boys' dormitory to seek him out. That wasn't all actually, he once stole the password to Gryffindor Tower from Neville to help Sirius get into the castle for killing Peter. 𝐒𝐿 helped Sirius lure Harry, Ron, and Hermione into the Shrieking Shack. He even attempted both to steal Harry's wand and attack him, and when both failed, set himself over Sirius' heart. How Sirius escaped from Azkaban. Sirius stayed in Azkaban for 12 years for a crime he never committed. The only reason Sirius never lost his mind is that he knew he was innocent. That wasn't a happy thought, so the Dementors couldn't suck it out of him. But it kept him sane and knowing who he is, and helped him keep his powers. So when all became too much, he could transform in his cell, become a dog. Dementors can't see, they just feel their way toward people by feeding off their emotions. His feelings were less human when he was a dog, so he didn't trouble them. But he was so weak and had no hope of driving them away without a wind, until he saw Peter. He was in a photograph with Ron and his family that had appeared in the Daily Prophet. The family were in Egypt, and there on Ron's shoulders was scabbers. So Sirius knew it was Peter at once, because of many times he had seen him transform, and the caption said Ron would be going back to Hogwarts, to where Harry was. So he had to do something, because he was the only one who knew Peter was still alive. It wasn't a happy feeling, but it gave him strength. So one night, when they opened the door to bring food, he slipped past them as a dog, and he was thin enough to slip through the bars and swam as a dog back to the mainland and slipped into the Hogwarts ground. Sirius' actual death. Unlike the movie, Sirius didn't die from the Avada Kedavra, aka the Killing Curse. Tragically, however, during a duel with his hated cousin Bellatrix, Sirius was struck with an unknown spell, which caused him to fall through the veil in the death chamber to his death. So Sirius died because of falling through the veil by being struck with a spell, and not because of the Killing Curse. Now moving to our third character, Severus Snape. James saved his life. At some point in their school years, Snape grew very interested in where Remus went every month, and saw Madame Pomfrey and Remus go into the Shrieking Shack, using the secret passage under the Whomping Willow. Sirius had, as a joke, told him the trick to getting past the Whomping Willow. Snape followed Sirius' directions and were nearly at the Shrieking Shack when James pulled him back. At great risk to his own life, James saved Severus from certain death at the claws of the Remus in werewolf form, but Snape refused to believe that his old rival would have done him a favor, and despised being in his debt. Snape was the reason Lily died. He was the spy responsible for informing Voldemort about the prophecy. Snape eavesdropped on the interview of divination Professor Trelawney and Albus Dumbledore at 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐑. Snape suffered terrible remorse when Voldemort decided that Harry was the subject of the prophecy, and that Lily Evans, the woman who he always loved, was now in danger as a result of his actions. He begged Voldemort to spare her, who agreed. However, Snape also approached Albus Dumbledore to ask him to save Lily. Voldemort was tipped off by Peter, and he found them anyway. After Lily's death, Snape was devastated and distraught to the point of wishing himself dead. But Dumbledore urged him to ensure Harry's safety out of respect for Lily's memory. Snape passed the message that Sirius was captured. Snape aided Harry multiple times throughout the year, giving Dolores Umbridge fake Veritaserum, lying that he had run out of it when pressed for more, and also one more thing that wasn't in the film, passing on Harry's message about Sirius' capture to the Order of Phoenix, and therefore deducing that he had walked into a trap at the Ministry. In the movies, he was like,
"No, I did."
But in reality, he knew what's going on and went to inform the Order of Phoenix of the news. And finally, he took off George's ear. Because of Severus' information, when the Order of Phoenix moved Harry from Privet Drive, they were ambushed by Death Eaters, and the Battle of Seven Powers ensued. During the battle, a Death Eater was moving behind Remus, trying to cast a spell behind his back. Snape then cast the spell 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿 to prevent the Death Eater from cursing Lupin, but accidentally, it sliced George Weasley's ear off. There are a lot of things that the movies didn't include, but my list will end here. If you wanna watch some Harry Potter small details you missed, click on this video over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.